says the International Monetary Fund may dispense about $2 billion to Ghana when deliberations are concluded. According to him, Ghana's quota and macroeconomic data are likely to help the country receive such funding from the Bretton Woods institution. He noted that this will help shore up the country's reserves and help service the country's debts. Mr. Ponkroma said the central bank, for instance, may need $3 billion to boost its buffer. From a new World Bank Group report, Ghana needs a holistic policy environment for both labor supply and demand side interventions. Among various recommendations, the report calls for programs that incorporate new skills required by employers such as basic digital and soft skills into the education system, as well as operationalize job intermediation systems to ensure that young people are appropriately linked to available jobs while creating more opportunities for quality jobs. So watching the business segment of News Hour, the World Bank has appointed Mrs. Victoria Kwakwa as the new Vice President for Eastern and Southern Africa from July 1, 2022. Mrs. Kwakwa, before her appointment, was the World Bank's Vice President for Corporate Strategic Initiatives. She comes in with over 30 years of experience and will lead an active regional program, including a financing portfolio of over 300 projects, totaling more than $50 billion, and extensive policy research and advice. Under her leadership, the World Bank will continue to provide support to countries that are facing serious economic challenges as a result of the damages caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, food and energy-fueled inflation, and rising debt levels. We have more news coming up. Please do stay.
Young women whose stories teach us perseverance, logic, decisiveness, and self-confidence. Being strong is not just about physical abilities, but also emotional, intellectual, and mental strength. Women's Voice is a platform to hear and share stories to encourage women and girls. Women are the real architects of society. It is they who provide the foundation of power, grace, wisdom, justice, creativity, and hope. Join us live every Monday at 4 p.m. on GBC News and GTV, Wednesdays live at 4 p.m. on GBC News, and a repeat on Saturdays at 4 p.m. on GBC News, and Sundays at 3 p.m. also on GBC News. Women's Voice. No one can make you inferior without your consent.
This is still News Hour. 4 teacher unions are striking over demands for the payment of the cost of living allowance COLA. The unions comprising the Ghana National Association of Teachers NAT, the National Association of Graduate Teachers NAGRAT, the Teachers and Educational Workers Union TEU, and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana CCT are demanding that the 20% of their basic salary be paid to them. They have blamed their industrial action on government's failure to pay the COLA, which they argued could have helped to mitigate the impact of the rising cost of living, withdrawing their services both in and outside the classroom. We'll be touching base with all our correspondents across the country for the latest updates. But let's now speak to the General Secretary of NAT, Mr. Thomas Musa. Good afternoon, sir. We are trying to establish contact with the General Secretary of NAT, Mr. Thomas Musa, to establish That's Thomas Musa to talk to us about the strike currently ongoing across the country for some teacher unions. We go for a quick break.
Whose stories teach us perseverance. Logic, decisiveness and self-confidence. Being strong is not just about physical abilities, but also emotional, intellectual and mental strength. Women's Voice is a platform to hear and share stories to encourage women and girls. Women are the real architects of society. It is they who provide the foundation of power, grace, wisdom, justice, creativity and hope. Join us live every Monday at 4 p.m. on GBC News and GTV, Wednesdays live at 4 p.m. on GBC News and a repeat on Saturdays at 4 p.m. on GBC News and Sundays at 3 p.m. also on GBC News. Women's Voice. No one can make you inferior without your consent.
Welcome back. This is still news. We now have the General Secretary of NAT, Mr. Thomas Musa, on the line. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my sister, and also good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you for joining us. Run us through the timelines. When did you begin the demand for cola, and what has been government's response so far?
We started as far back as February, and we started raising the concerns. And in March, we wrote official letter in connection with that. On the 1st of May, same was articulated. And in the month of June, we served notice. And on the and that means this particular Monday, we brought the issues to an end, as we've been discussing in the media. So that is where we are.
But in all of this, what has been the role of the Labour Commission in all these timelines that you have given us? What has been the role of the Labour Commission?
Well, we wrote to the appropriate quarters for responses and the need for them to address our concerns. But it looks like that didn't happen. And that is why we are here today.
But have you gone to the negotiation table and have you exhausted all, remedies before you start the strike?
We've been invited and we'll be meeting tomorrow. And whatever it is, we shall revert.
Is it not too soon? Couldn't you have gone for the meeting, see what they are offering before we start the strike?
The issue of industrial relation and engagement is reciprocal.
Okay.
If one party extends concerns or the only branch and there is no response, or the response comes at the 11th hour when the other party intends to roll out other programs, you can't blame the other party. And so the invitation has come.
Right.
And we are saying that tomorrow we will go and engage.
And are you willing to come down on the percentage, the 20%? Are you willing to come down? Or that is where you are pegged at? There is nothing government will do that will make you come down?
My sister, let me explain something to you.
Right.
We have two options here. We could have triggered the wage opener clause. The wage opener clause indicates that at any point in time where there are economic difficulties and challenges, that have serious implications on the well-being of workers. Workers can trigger the wage opener clause. And if you look at the variables and what is contained in the wage variable clause, it has far-reaching implications. So we didn't trigger that one. We only triggered the called the COLA. Okay. That's the cost living allowance, cost of living allowance. So just get the workers something, pushing them out of their current difficulties, and you all be fine. That'll be all.
And you know, there's the students that surface. BEC is just around the corner. Is that not going to affect the academic calendar?
Taking care of the children is a collective responsibility. The teachers have their role to play. The employer has their role to play. Parents have their roles to play. So if one particular fails to perform his or her role, you can't blame it on the other. Yeah. So at this stage, teachers cannot be blamed. Right. Somebody ought to do something for teachers to go to the class. So when that person performs that particular duty, the teachers will go to the class. So the issue that children, teachers are not the only person responsible of the children. We are performing our role, but one party is not performing, and we are calling upon the party to perform. And let us get the wheel of justice going.
We are praying for a better outcome tomorrow. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
God bless you too. And that was the General Secretary of NAT, Mr. Thomas Musa. Our reporter, Nanecha Boaje, has been visiting some schools in the capital and joins me in the studio. Echa, good afternoon. And I know you've just come back from your rounds. Which schools have you visited so far?
So we went to 4 schools. We went to, first we went to Kanda cluster of schools. And then we saw some number of students around, we saw teachers around. But what really caught our attention was that in one particular classroom, we saw some few students having group studies. They are just young peoples, and others were having their individual studies. And speaking to some of the headmistresses, they said they're not willing to talk to us, but we realized that one of the schools, we are about organizing mock for, I think, from 3 students. From there, we went to Nima cluster of schools. There we saw a number of people. The students were many over there, and also we realized that teachers were in class somewhere on the premises, but teaching wasn't ongoing. We wanted to talk to the head mistress there. She said that we are in school. Currently we are in school and we are teaching, but we didn't see any teaching ongoing. But with some senior high school that we visited, they told us on authority not to mention their names. When we went there, teaching was ongoing. They told us that they had it, and none of their union leaders has issued them with a release that they should stop teaching. So currently they are teaching and they're not adhering to the directive as per release by the union leaders. So far, these are the schools that we went, and we spoke to some of the peoples, and they said that they are calling on government to come to their aid to pay their teachers so that they will also come to school to learn, because they want to be prominent personalities in our country. So they are really crying and telling government to come to their aid. So that is a few of the schools that we visited, and that was the outcome that we observed by the news team.
Right. Echa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and that was our correspondent, Nanecha Abuache. The Ghana Education Service, GES, has directed all regional and district directors to ensure that all basic schools remain open and children who report to school are closely supervised. In a statement, the GES also directed heads of senior high schools through the regional and district directors to mobilize their management teams to ensure the safety and well-being of all students in schools. GES has since invited the leadership of the unions to a meeting to discuss the development and the way forward.
Control strike action is unfortunate all over the world, but it's inevitable. One would have expected that, looking at how they call it, the current economic standing of the country, probably our friends, our teachers, our brothers and sisters probably would have also given a bit of consideration. But of course, strike is a legitimate action. they have done it. At the end of the day, it's about joining, finding a resolution to it, which does not necessarily take the GES or the Ministry of Education alone, but even all the agencies and the ministries that are responsible for it. So yes, I want to assure everyone that we are in control. It's come to our attention. We've invited the parties, and we are going to make sure that we resolve the issue as soon as possible.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of National Labour Commission, Mr. Ofosu Samoa, asked teachers to return to the classrooms as the Commission takes steps to address their issues. He said negotiations cannot go on when they are on strike. Mr. Samoa said although the Commission sympathizes with teachers, declaring a strike must be done in accordance with the law.
You always want to have parties engaging to negotiate a settlement which is acceptable to both parties. You know, we deal with labor relations. Whichever parties appear before the Commission, go back and work together. The relation does not cease with the appearance before the Commission. That is why we always take a soft stance to make sure that, yes, after all, it will always come. Well, conflict will always come because of the relation that we have. So that we are not taking a soft. That's how we are moving. We always encourage that parties try and settle amicably. I mean, the hard times are known to everybody. It's not the teachers alone. Except that government will also have its own problem, but it is not for me to talk for government. So we sympathize with them. They have cause to ask for some more, but except that it should be done within them. Yes, go and negotiate for better conditions of service for the cooler, which you have right to do.
Almost all basic school pupils in the Bodo East region have been sent home following the nationwide strike by teacher unions. Senior high school students are also in school without teachers. Our Bodo East regional correspondent, Samuel Ayama, is currently with the Techiman Zonal Chairman of Nagrat, Mr. Nisina Suleiman, and joins us live for an update.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just like you can see, yes, just like you can see on the shots, I'm on the Techimai Senior High campus, and the teachers sitting here, they've been here, but they are not teaching. I've gone around and realized that some of the students are in school, but they don't have teachers there to teach them. The teachers here, the interaction I had with them, yes, they are joined their counterparts across the country to embark on the strike. So none of them is currently teaching here. So with me is Mr. Suleimana. He is the zonal chairman of Nagrat here in the Techiman municipality. Tell us, what is your outfit doing? Are you all part of are you all joined the strike action?
Let me say thank you and good afternoon to your listeners across the country. Yeah, all teachers are part of it, particularly Nagrat members. Today, I've monitored the situation in Techima zone. We have 12 public secondary schools, and I've moved around all of them, and all the teachers are taking part in the strike action. The schools that are visited, both second cycle and the basic ones, sometimes you only find only the kids and the teachers are not there. In few instances, we see the teachers, but they are not attending to the kids. It is in the basic school that mostly you see the head teachers. They open the classrooms for the kids, and they are also there playing. And in about 11 getting to 12 thereabout, most of the children in the basic schools are run back home. It is in the secondary school, the boarding students, they are still staying around. I've just come to Techima Secondary School to see what is happening there, and I can find the teachers all over, those that are around, sitting around, and the students are also loitering about doing their own things.
So won't this affect the academic activities in the various schools?
We are fully aware that once the teacher activity is taken out of the school system, certainly academic activities will be touched. But I think we very much sympathize with the students. But the situation has come to a point that what we are doing is just the last thing that we feel we can do to drive home our points.
Okay, thank you very much. I have been speaking with Mr. Sulemana. He's the zonal chair of the Chechiman, that's Nagrat. One of the students is here with me. He is the assistant girls prefect of the Chechiman Senior High School. How is this affecting your academic activities?
Please, I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity being given to me. And I would like to say good afternoon to your listeners and your viewers. This strike is affecting us very badly because masters are not coming to class. And because of the pandemic, we stayed in the house for a year and a half. And we've not been learning, we've not been able to catch up with our syllabus. And since they're not going to come, the final years is going to be a headache. It's very bad for us right now.
So what is your appeal to government and the teachers?
Yeah, my appeal to the government and teachers is that they should at least reconsider us and come to class and teach us. The government should also do something, some kind of negotiation or, how should I put it? He should motivate them a little token so that they'll come out to the class and teach us.
Thank you very much. I have been speaking with the girls prefect or the assistant girls prefect of Techimai Senior High School, and she has also been telling me the challenges they will be facing without the teachers in the various classrooms. As we can see, the teachers are all seated here, but teaching and learning is currently not ongoing in all the various schools in the Bono East region. In the morning, I visited here, and there is also a model school in this school, the lower primary, the upper primary. They've all been sent home, and my checks across the region is also clear that all the JHS, the primary, they've all been sent home because they were not teachers in their various schools. We'll keep on monitoring and then keep our viewers and listeners updated on the strike embarked on by the various teacher unions. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Techimai.
Thank you, Samuel Ayama. Let's now turn the lenses to Tamale. And some peoples in the northern regional capital have appealed to government and striking teachers in the country to resolve their differences quickly, as that could have an adverse impact on them in the upcoming Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. Already, the region's performance in the BECE falls below the national average, which has been a major source of worry for stakeholders. Correspondent Mutala Issa joins us live from Tamale with some details.
We, as Form 3 students, are supposed to be in class learning towards our final exams. But because of our teachers, they said they are on strike, so we are not able to learn. So we plead to the government to appeal to their needs so that we can learn and pass, because we are future leaders and we don't need any obstacle to come on our way to prevent us from passing and making this nation a better place for all of us to live in. Today is Tuesday and we are supposed to be in class learning. This ceremony is supposed to have maths, but the maths teacher is not around. We have been learning, making some revisions, solving past questions, but now that he's not there, we are loitering around, working helter-skelter, doing nothing, which is affecting our academics seriously, because if this is going to take a longer time, that means we coming to school, not learning, it's just going to be a disaster.
Teachers are on strike, and because they're not there, I don't think students can just sit in the class and learn on their own, because there are no teachers in the class. I want that the government should please appeal to their needs, to the teachers' needs, so that they're able to come back and teach us. Because we're just left with 3 months to write our BC, and if teachers are not there to teach us, how will we be able to write the BC? Next week like this, we are supposed to write our mock. If the teachers are not there, how do you expect us to be able to write the mock?
Following concerns raised by parents about performance in the BEC and the likely impact of this strike action on the performance, we have been speaking with the public relations officer for the conference of heads of basic schools in the region, Mr. Ampoma. This is what he had to say.
We have put in place measures. Until we get there, some of these measures cannot be disclosed to the public. But then, all head teachers are currently aware of the fate of the final year students. Our wish is that the strike will not drag itself as long as possibly where people are envisaging.
Correspondent Nicholas Oseuso is on the phone line from Kumasi. Hello, Nicholas.
Hello, Winnie, the Mandela.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are recording two different scenarios here. A situation where students and teachers are in school, but no academic work is going on. But in some other schools too, there's some sort of academic work. What is the situation where you are?
The second scenario appears to be going as in the where we have students and pupils attending school today, being the first or the second day of the strike action, but without the teachers to take them through the academic work. We visited quite a number of the schools when we visited to the second cycle. The situation was that in some of the schools there were no teachers at all. We visited them after 11 a.m. And that particular school has to do with the MA primary school. That's right within the premises of the newly built new headquarters of the African Municipal Assembly. There were no teachers around. Some of the classes are beginning to learn. The students had the students had the full day. Some of them were playing football, others were playing basketball. Some of them even had their backs up at their back and moving towards their home. Then the nearby Junior High School, the people were around, not many of them, some of them obviously have already left the home. We met only the headquarters of the school and one lady who said the national service person. These were the only teachers around. And I asked the headmistress that the other teachers were attending a workshop in IC at another school, so they were not available. So that was for the students to go to. The students were there, the people were there, no teachers to teach them. Then at the TIM Meditation High School, near the Babaya Hospital, the students were there, quite a number of them, both day and boarding, they were doing their numbers. Apart from the students, the other classes have no teachers to take them through their courses. But for the second year students, some of them were in the examination writing exam. And incidentally, they were being invigilated by national service personnel, and then some senior or third year students of the school.
Right.
They were doing the invigilation, and the study is being done by the two other headmasters, academic and the domestic, the support of the examination officer of the school. So this is the situation. But the country staff, they were working. Everything was in place.
All right, Nicholas, thank you. This is an ongoing situation. Definitely, we will be coming back to you when you have more to report. And that was Ashanti Regional Correspondent Nicholas Oseuso. The Minority Caucus in Parliament is asking the government to take pragmatic measures to address the concerns of the teachers' unions currently striking over costs of living allowance. Kola.
Clearly, this is as a result of the government's inability to meet its obligations and to be proactive in addressing the needs and demands of labor unions, including the teachers. We have seen a circular from the Ghana Education Service directing managers of schools to take control and to ensure the safety and security of students. Clearly, that cannot be enough if you consider that one head teacher alone cannot take care and secure the safety of an entire school. So we want to urge government to immediately address the concerns of the teachers so that they can go back to the classrooms without any further delay. If this goes on beyond 2 to 3 days, it will be advisable for the GES to direct that the schools will close down for the safety and security of the students. But ultimately, government bears the responsibility of ensuring that the needful is done.
Go back on the phone line and speak to Central Regional Correspondent Kingsley Nanabuedu. Hello, Kingsley.
Hello, good afternoon.
Right, good afternoon. What schools have you visited so far, and how is the strike affecting academic work?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for morning to now. We visited some schools, and what we had adjusted that some of the teachers came to school and, of course, left and leaving the school people alone. This afternoon, I visited some few basic schools too, and the situation was the same. As for the schools were even locked, the classes were locked, and no even people or students was found around. A few instances, you see some people, they have totally 3, 4, 10, 11, 12 thereabouts. So I found out from them what is happening. They didn't come. And the some of them didn't even come at all. They were so that, of course, the teachers are not coming, so they didn't come at all. Those that also came to, they were just there, they played small, and left. At Church of Christ Basic School, for instance, in a week, I only met the headmistress who was sitting down there with about 3, 4 people who were just around there playing. So I found out from the teacher what was happening there. That yes, the teachers didn't come to school at all. There were 10 teachers that were supposed to come to school. According to her, only one of them came to school, and he came and took permission and left. So the headmistress have not asked the students to go home, but they themselves, upon seeing the teachers not being around, they have to leave on their own. So one after the other saw them leaving, and we couldn't call them back because when they can see and not and will not be able to control them. Aboom, AMU going on to similar situations. The whole school and the cluster of schools, all of them were closed up, and saw some students around who also felt they are the same thing. They came in the morning, there were no teachers about 2:30.
So this means that supervision is very poor in almost all the schools that you have visited. Is that the case?
Exactly. Because there's no teacher,
right?
Students now, people have to go back to school, go back home. No teacher is there. Because even if they say that one teacher cannot take charge of them.
Understandably so. Right. Thank you. Thank you, Kingsley, for that update. Kingsley Nanabuedu from the Central Region. Now, some parts of the capital city, Accra, got flooded following a heavy downpour on Tuesday morning. The affected areas include Kaneshi, Graphic Road, the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, Odona, Kanda, and Nema. The rain caused traffic congestion on some major roads.
Severe rains on Tuesday have left some parts of Accra flooded again. The Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, Kaneshi Lorry Station, North Kaneshi, Alajo, Nema, Adabraka and Kaswa were all affected, submerging homes. The situation compelled residents in the affected areas to evacuate their homes and seek shelter at nearby buildings and facilities. Residents of Odona, Sahara, one of the hardest hit areas, had to swim through the flood waters to save areas. Others were seen scooping water from their homes. At Kanda and Nema cluster of schools, the floods forced the school to close down. The Kaneshi Graphic Road Kia Motors, Dunlop and Rana Motors workshop have all been closed down, rendering workers and clients redundant. The service manager of Kia Motors pointed fingers at the construction of the Obechebi interchange and the Odo River.
Anytime there is heavy rain, this area gets flooded. And we've complained several times to the authorities to do something about the drainage. And the silting of the Odo River. If you do the desilting, flooding doesn't happen. But I think it's been a while they've been doing this job. They've not been coming to do it as regularly as they are supposed to. So anytime we have a heavy downpour, all these areas get flooded.
And I believe the construction work going on at Obechebi is also playing a big role in getting this place flooded, because the drainage system there is choked. Is filled up with sand. So there's nowhere else the water can run through. So they all run to this place.
Residents of the affected areas are calling on city authorities to act swiftly.
A World Bank delegation led by its Vice President for Africa, Western and Central Region, Mr. Ousmane Diagana, has visited the Greater Kumasi metropolis to assess the readiness and suitability of the area for the Bus Rapid Transit (BRT) system intended to ease vehicular congestion in the area. During the inspection, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei-Mensah, appealed to the World Bank for financial support for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to build a multi-story car park. The complex car park would be a relief to many, including shop owners in the new KJTR market, who have been struggling to find secured parking spaces for their private vehicles.
The World Bank is currently supporting about 20 programs and projects in the country, with the Ashanti region being one of the key beneficiaries. In the late 1990s, the Bretton Woods institution supported Ghana to upgrade the then original KJTR lorry terminal, which was recently demolished and replaced with the present KJTR market complex. However, the capacity of the KJTR terminal has rather reduced sharply with a new project without any holding bay for standby vehicles. The structured size of the new facility has also led to a reduction of space at the Central Business District of Idum, which receives thousands of visitors from many places each day. This has worsened the vehicular congestion at the Central Business District, especially as most of the visitors prefer to commute in their private vehicles. This is why the KMA and the Regional Coordinating Council, acting as agents of the Government of Ghana, are appealing to the World Bank for help to bring the bus rapid transit system into the area. The road network for the BRT includes the stretch from Ibuakwa in the Etrima in Nuabaja South The Metro Director of Urban Roads, Nana Poku Ajuman, told the delegation that the roads within the Kumasi Central Business District have outlived their usefulness and that a comprehensive transport plan for Kumasi is to be redeveloped to meet current demands.
We want to have a comprehensive transport plan to address the needs of the congestion in the city. It's not just the infrastructure, there's training, there are transport plans. The last time we did a transport plan in Kumasi was in 2010, which needs to be updated.
The Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei-Mensah, described the Kumasi Bus Rapid Transit System as very important to the socio-economic development of the metropolis. The World Bank Ghana Country Director, Mr. Pierre Laporte, gave the assurance that the request for a multi-story car park could be considered under the recently approved $150 million facility for a transportation system in Kumasi.
Urbanization is a very good way to bring people out of poverty through opportunities for better jobs, higher paid jobs, and in this context we really want to do a sustainable cities project that respond to the modern challenges and opportunities that can happen, and this is another project we can look at it. So
the World Bank's Vice President for Africa, Western and Central Regions, Mr. Ousmane Diagana, noted that Bus Rapid Transit System is a new transportation concept that the bank is supporting in some African countries and that Ghana's request would also be considered.
The UK government has given Ghana 1.24 million Pfizer vaccines. This brings to 2.64 million the total COVID-19 vaccines donated by the UK government to Ghana. The United Kingdom is also providing additional emergency support worth £105 million to help reduce the health impacts of the Omicron variant in developing countries.
About 23% of Ghana's population is said to be fully vaccinated. Although the figure is above Africa's projected average of 19%, it is well below the global and Ghana's target of 70% vaccination by the end of 2022. Handing over the vaccines, the Development Director at the British High Commission, Ms. Beth Cadman, entreated the Ghana Health Service to ensure that the most vulnerable in Ghana, including persons with disability, have access to the vaccines. She affirmed the British government's support to Ghana's COVID-19 response, disclosing that UK's experts in the WHO are working with Ghana's health ministry to conduct genome sequencing and monitor COVID-19 variants. The additional £105 million emergency support for developing countries include £20 million for vaccine behavioral change efforts to reduce transmission in up to 12 African countries, and also £30 million to scale up testing on the continent. Sarah Furi, GBC News, Accra.
Also on the health front, the Ghana Dentists Association has petitioned government to establish a well-equipped dental unit in all district hospitals in the country. The president of the association, Dr. Papa Popolampo, mentioned with concern that more than half of the existing dental units across the country are not functional due to obsolete tools and inadequate personnel. Speaking at the 31st Annual Congress of the association, Dr. Popolampo further appealed for the dental schools in the country to be retooled with modern equipment to facilitate the training of dentists. Another report by Sarah Fori.
In Ghana is said to be below par, far below the WHO's estimation of one dentist to a population of 7,500. The statistics in Ghana is one dentist to 200,000. There are 700 dentists disproportionately distributed across the country at non-functional or non-existent dental units. It has also been observed that most people take dental care for granted and would only visit the dentist when in pain. This means that in Ghana, preventive dental care is almost non-existent. Alarmingly, poor oral health complicates non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular diseases, and also increase the risk of low birth weight. At the annual Congress of the Association, the President appealed to government to improve dental care in the country.
We need to establish dental units in all district hospitals in this country. It must be done so that our people can access this, because we know that more than half of our district hospitals in this country do not have dental units. And those that even have, the units are not functional. So we need to work on that. The second thing, Honorable, is that we need government to be able to retool our dental schools, to facilitate the training of dental surgeons, to increase the numbers, to augment the 600, a little bit over 600 we have now, to be able to bring oral health care to every citizen of this country as a must.
The Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Boaji, was concerned that dentists refuse postings to parts of the country where their services are needed. The Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, Ms. Akosua Frema Oseo Pare, assured dentists that government is working to remove all the barriers to dental care in the country and speed up the formulation of the dental health policy.
Government is aware of the numerous challenges facing the delivery of oral health services in Ghana. For example, the lack of adequate numbers of dental units. These numbers are even more skewed towards the urban areas, predominantly in Accra and Kumasi, to the disadvantage of other regions and rural communities. Government has also taken note of the obsolete nature of dental equipment in use at the various dental facilities in Ghana and measures are being mainstreamed to adequately equip dental units with modern equipment.
Of concern to all is fake dentists who cause irreversible damage to unsuspecting patients. 04 GBC News, Accra.
Ghana has launched a baseline report on the assessment of the United Nations Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, UNGPS. This follows the conduct of a baseline assessment which identified gaps in Ghana's implementation of the UN's Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. To address the gaps and make further progress on respect for laws on business and human rights, a steering committee is to be established to oversee the development of a national action plan. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, who launched the baseline report, said the document would help business operations to be conducted in accordance with human rights standards.
Guiding Principle on Business and Human Rights, UNGPS, is a non-binding business and human rights regime endorsed by the UN Human Rights Council on the 16th of June 2011 with the aim to advance the prevention and redress of human rights abuses among businesses. The National Baseline Assessment of Business and Human Rights evaluates the government of Ghana's progress in achieving its obligations to respect, protect and fulfill human rights and fundamental freedoms of people in various areas, including the acquisition of space for businesses, how businesses function, and how different groups of people, regardless of gender and religion, are treated. The baseline is to serve as a catalyst for the development of a national action plan on business and human rights in Ghana. The Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, CHRAJ, Mr. Joseph Whittle, said Ghana has made some strides, but there are gaps in the application of the guiding principles.
For this to be achieved, there was a need to undertake a national baseline assessment of business and human rights situation in Ghana in order to identify the gaps in the application of the guiding principles and the subsequent development of a national action plan that will propose specific interventions or policies to deal with the gaps and the adverse human rights impacts by business enterprises.
The report was launched by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame.
The business community, I must say, that apart from it being the right thing to do, it also makes good business sense to respect human rights. Businesses can find themselves involved in lawsuits, suffering reputational harm, and missing out on various opportunities for investment, as well as a chance to recruit the best new employees. On this note, may I declare the National Baseline Assessment of Business and Human Rights duly launched. Thank you very much.
An 18-member steering committee to oversee the development of the National Action Plan for Business and Human Rights was inaugurated. It is to be co-chaired by the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice Boss and the Attorney General.
The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Korte, the Chief Executive of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Mrs. Elizabeth Saki, and other government officials have donated food items and an undisclosed amount of money to the Nungua Traditional Council to support the 2022 annual Plejo Festival.
The items presented included bags of maize, gallons of palm oil, packs of bottled water, and assorted drinks. Presenting the items, the AMA Chief Executive, Mrs. Elizabeth Saki, and the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Korte, advised that the festival be celebrated in peace and unity to attract both local and foreign tourists to savor the culture and traditions of the Nungua people. The paramount chief of the Nungua traditional area, Professor King Odaifio Olenchede III, said all was set for the celebration. He called on all the indigenes to fully participate in the fiesta. He also urged the regional minister to engage all the GA chiefs over the multiple sale of GA lands by unscrupulous persons, which leads to land disputes and litigations. The Ningwa traditional area is one of the 2 traditional areas that make up the Tema West municipality.
I'm told you need to perform some rites and rituals before you would stay there.
There are a lot of myths. These are things that they cherish. Okay.
I'm here to unravel the mysteries of this commercial commodity.
But when it comes to science, there are ways, a number of processes